Hey, this is your man.
Ishi Hakase.
And we're going to switch it up today because I can feel some of my folks out there hitting the grind, not being able to get past hump day, hitting that lull. So I wanted to share. I had a chance to visit the Dale Chihuly exhibition, and it got me thinking about creativity and the creative deficit that we're actually faced with in the world. Now, many people have attempted to put definition to the term, but I want you to think about creativity in your own way. The reality is, no matter what field you're in, we all have the ability to be creative. We're not in the digital age. We're actually in the creative age. Engineers must approach their work with creativity. Business people must approach their work with creativity. Financiers must approach their work with creativity. Healthcare providers must approach their work with creativity. Teachers must approach their work with creativity. Compliance officers must approach their work with creativity. The transportation industry must approach their work with creativity, and dare I say, politicians must approach their work with creativity without deception. You get the picture. The people that are most troubled in this whole creative age are the managers. Not all of them, but a fair amount of them are, quite frankly, ill-equipped to manage and motivate creativity. So for decades, managers have measured their employees on quantitative output. How many widgets did you make? How many cars did you build? How many vacuum cleaners did you sell? How many words per minute can you type? This management style will not work to motivate the rise of the creative class. The so-called "the work better be good because I'm paying you a lot of money" statement doesn't apply any longer. This will not get creative work out of your teams. And for the conventional management style, and from that perspective, it sounds like common sense. But anybody out there who understands the nature of creativity and what motivates creative people, they know that this management style is a recipe for failure. Rewarding people for hard work is a great thing to do, but it's not a guarantee of loyalty, nor does it guarantee creativity. And using rewards as an incentive, or even at times a threat, has been proven not to work when it comes to complex, challenging creative work. Organizations have been relying on extrinsic motivators for far too long. Extrinsic motivation uses reward or punishment as a way of motivating the correct behavior, while intrinsic motivation involves using a personally rewarding factor to achieve a goal. When you place focus on a reward, you're not focused on the work. You're only focused on the reward. And as any creative person will tell you, doing outstanding creative work, whether you're solving a technical problem or it's some creative endeavor, artwork, music, dance, theater, this requires 100% focus on the activities at hand, almost to the point of a healthy obsession. What you do is for the love of doing it. Now, of course, companies, they need to pay people, and they need to pay people well. If they don't, compensation becomes a pain point. It's a bone of contention and a distraction. But if you really want outstanding creative performance, you need people to focus on intrinsic motivations, factors that work within. Things like, are they challenged? Is the work interesting? Are they in an environment where they can learn? Is it meaningful? Do they have freedom? These are the things that really motivate creative people. And the research, and there's much of it out there, shows that there's a strong link between levels of intrinsic motivation and creativity. So one of my favorite books, and it's been around for a long time, it's entitled The Rise of the Creative Class by Richard Florida. He discusses the results of An Information Week survey in which he questioned 20,000 IT workers, 20,000 who were asked, what matters most to you about your job? And in Florida points out that not only did money, which is an extrinsic motivation, point of motivation, money ranked only fourth, behind three different types of intrinsic motivation, but that the 9 of the 10 highly valued job factors are indeed intrinsic. And remember, this was a survey of IT workers who might be expected to take more of a hard-nosed approach to motivation than the more, let's say, artistic types. So the nature of creativity and the inclinations of creative workers presents a challenge both for managers and the workers themselves. The reality is you can't buy creativity. You have to inspire it. If you're a leader or a manager and you want to attract and motivate creative people, first thing you need to do is fix your organization. Allow people to work in smaller groups with greater autonomy, not large bureaucratic departments with centralized control. And it's also about the relationship between leaders and teams and their peers. How challenges are framed properly. What managers say to their teams. How team members support one another and encourage one another and challenge one another are all very important factors. Money buys people's time. And you should also expect your basic professional competency. But you don't get outstanding creativity by simply offering more money. You get mercenaries. If you want real creativity, the magic ingredient is inspiration. You have to make the work fascinating, challenging, meaningful, and fun. And you need to give people the freedom to do the work in their own way rather than micromanaging every single step. Now for the creatives, you've probably experienced a tension between following your own creative inclinations versus giving your boss or your clients or your customers what they want. If you spend too much time in your own pet projects, you risk disappointing the higher-ups. But if you spend too much time on well-paid work that doesn't inspire you, your creativity will fade away. So it's vital to strike a balance between intrinsic and extrinsic motivating factors in the work that you take on. Sometimes you need to take on less glamorous projects to pay the bills. And if so, make time for more interesting creative pursuits. Sometimes in the evening, sometimes in the weekend if need be. This will keep your creative spark alive and make you less resentful when you have to do the grunt work. Challenge yourself to take a creative approach to any job you take on. No matter how uncompromising the brief, it could be a mundane task, but if you keep coming up with original and valuable solutions, you'll earn a reputation for creative problem solving that a company can't live without. So let's go back to Richard Florida's study, and I'll share with you the top motivating factors for supporting and inspiring creativity in order 1 through 10. Your environment should be challenging. It should be flexible. The work environment should be stable. Compensation or money. Professional development. Peer recognition. Stimulating colleagues and stimulating bosses. Exciting job content. A great organizational culture. And the location and how it's situated in the larger community. So if you consider that we're all creative, and I do, this list will help you understand what motivates people, and simply put, intrinsic rewards drive people and their creativity. So I briefly worked with this guy in Ohio who I would always introduce as Keith motherfucking Novicki. And that was because Keith had a tendency to use very colorful language. He's a brilliant designer, a teacher of typography, and a musician. And his deal was really simple. I don't get up early. Don't schedule me for a 9 a.m. meeting. He'd roll into the office late morning, sometimes even in the afternoon, but when he was working, his work was prolific and award-winning. He was very much in touch with his own intrinsic motivators, and to his benefit, his job supported it because they recognized very clearly the benefits of keeping him motivated. Now, you might not be able to go full Keith motherfucking Novicki at your job, but at a minimum, you should identify the things that motivate you and make your managers and your coworkers aware of it. And if you're having trouble finding motivation, whether that's for that challenging project, that school endeavor, the study time that you have to get to, maybe even your job search, don't worry, your man.
Ishi Hakase.
I'm here to give you 12 points of advice. And number one, listen to jazz, not smooth jazz, but bebop jazz. Appreciate the virtuosity of the musicians and their creativity, and then translate this into your own activities. My recommendation is that you start with Coltrane. This next point of advice comes in two parts. 2A, take a walk. All right, think about it like an extra recess period like you would have when you were a kid. If we didn't get out of that classroom and stretch our legs and run around a bit when we were kids, we would have gone crazy. And the reality is, getting a little fresh air, that's good for us. Now, while walking has lots and lots of benefits, fresh air can give us energy, reduce our stress, and improve our sleep. When we feel good, we want to do good, and that means more motivation. And then 2B, go to a dog shelter and adopt a dog. Of course, when you have a dog, you're going to have to take that dog out for a walk. Sometimes 2, 3, 4 times a day. So you'll always be motivated to get your walk, because if you don't, you will be rewarded with an organic memorandum on your carpet when you get home. And remember, your dog will never, ever refuse you to take a walk. They will always be there right by your side. Number 3, make lists. It could be a grocery list, a task list, a workout regimen. But when you make lists, you get to strike things off your list, and you gain concrete levels of accomplishment, and you know that you're making progress. And if you don't want to make lists, then try notes. Get some Post-it notes, put them up around your workspace, write notes of encouragement to yourself, maybe even some reminders from time to time. All right, but make these things visible. And when they're in writing, they again are much more concrete. And this is a way that that note can be just that voice in your head that you're familiar with. It'll motivate you, and you can't ignore it. Number 4, imagine that you're where you want to be in life. And whatever you're dealing with, you got to take care of it, right? Sometimes you have to kind of fake confidence in yourself to find motivation, because sometimes that's actually why we lack it. Self-doubt. Self-doubt can stem from anywhere, but once we have it, it's really hard to get rid of it and find motivation in any circumstance. So decide where you want to be and what you want to do, and act like you're there, and act like you're worth it, because you are. Number 5 is very obvious. Drink water. This is a given. Everybody knows the benefits of drinking water. Good skin, good hair, good life. It's basically good for any kind of all-around situation. But there's another benefit to drinking water, and that is the regular pit stops that you're going to have to take. All right, so you don't have to worry about burning out too fast, too soon if you're drinking a lot of water, because that water is going to make you get up, take care of your biological needs, refocus, recenter, and then come back to work slightly with new eyes. Now, I know some of you are out there saying, well, Ishi, there's water in beer, right? There's water in coffee, right? Hey, look, this is just advice. You do with what works best for you. Just keep drinking. Number 6, this is going to sound goofy. Watch HGTV. I know that HGTV is not everywhere, but it could be any other type of home improvement project show, a makeover show, something like that, because these home improvement shows, and there's even, if you remember, Queer Eye, I really like that show, but these shows are all about transformation and change, and it sort of helps you visualize like how you can make changes in your own living space or your own circumstances, and how you can be motivated to do those things. So give that a try. It's only an hour. You might get hooked. For me, it's Tiny House Makeover and Tiny House Nation. I just love how they show you how you can do so much more with less. Number 7, be smart with your time. If you're working on a small task, then multitasking with the occasional distractions, that might work. But if you're working on a really big, long, drawn-out, important project that requires a lot of concentration, then all your focus should be solely on that project. That way, your work will be more time efficient and detailed, giving you more motivation to finish that task. Know what you're dealing with ahead of time, and then plan for breaks. Now, what I do is I think about the things that I have in front of me. I focus on what brings the most value, and that's where I start. And I ask you all to think about doing the same. Number 8, clean up your space. Now, there's a difference between dirty and messy. You don't want a dirty room. If the space doesn't feel clean, you're going to recognize all of these distractions, and it's going to be harder to find your motivation. Now, messy, yeah, we know some creative people, they need to be in a messy space because they want lots and lots of stimuli, and that's fine. But dirty is going to hinder you from getting to finish your projects. Number 9, this is easy, work out. Exercise, you got to do it. And what exercise does is it gives you a rush of endorphins, giving you an extra burst of energy to get you through that day. And working out, of course, can also cause you to be more focused and alert, while also boosting your mood, your health, and your appearance. I mean, come on, look at me. Can't you tell I've been working out? Number 10, think about the impact your work has on others. If you don't complete a particular project or activity by a certain time, is it going to affect someone negatively? You're not working in isolation. After all, your decisions impact other people too. 11, just start somewhere. My teacher, Professor Myers, he would say, get to busy. And that simply means you just have to start somewhere. Sometimes you start at the beginning, sometimes you start at the end, sometimes you start in the middle. But as long as you're doing something and making some progress, you'll be getting things done. And another way to think about it is bird by bird, or eat the elephant one bite at a time. Whatever idiom works for you, just start. And number 12, find your why. Find your why. Figure out what your compelling purpose is. Turn this into a one-liner. Remember Batman Begins? It's been a while. Remember when Bruce fell down in the well and his father came down to save him, and his father said, "Why do we fall? So we can learn to pick ourselves up." And that might be a little corny, a little dry for some of you, but when you think about it, it has really important meaning. So, tell me how you stay motivated. Leave something in the comments. And if we get enough, we'll do a part 2. We can all get over the hump. Don't let the dog days burn you down. Don't grind at your problems or your challenges. And remember, you matter. If you're struggling, talk to someone. Get help, get support, get motivated. Don't miss out on all this great stuff we have in the world. That's it for me. I'm going to check back with you in a couple of days. You know the deal. Subscribe. And if you've got news, hit me up. You can DM me on Instagram.
Ishi Hakase.
But don't forget the dot. And I hope you enjoyed this not news and that you were somehow motivated. And keep your heads up and spread the word. Stay safe. Much love. I will see you around the bend.